If you become a true Bitcoiner, you can go around without an identity. You don't need to introduce yourself. When Bitcoin number goes up and when people want to exit into Bitcoin, but they are not able to buy Bitcoin from an exchange because all the exchanges are banned now. 2030 post, I don't believe that there is a way to buy Bitcoin. You have to earn Bitcoin.
Bitcoin is ready-made for them. But then when you go and explain it to them, it doesn't strike them that way. So how do we change that?
Mutual funds sahi hai, sahi hai, sahi hai. Kya sahi hai usme? People who are in mutual funds not even beat inflation. When you have that frustration that I have worked hard, I have created value for other people, that is my life energy. I want a container for that life energy, a container that does not leak that energy. Then Bitcoin makes sense. It's like your battery. Like an antibiotic, Bitcoin is a silent revolution which is healing the system. You don't need to protest on the roads that rules change karo. You move to a new system. This system is the healing system. This system is the parasitic system which will kill the whole, so the parasites will also die.
So you mentioned Bitcoin as a saver of energy. How Bitcoin helps you save energy?
To see it as energy itself, you need to at least buy a small mining machine and mine it yourself. When you see how hard the mining machine works to produce a little bit of sats, then you understand that, hey, it's working so hard, consuming so much electricity to produce this much sats. I have some money, I can go buy those sats because those sats were also created through mining. Bitcoin will slow down your life because now you know that your energy is put in a system which can contain that energy without leakage, and it will grow and it will beat inflation. It's the foundation on top of which you can build your passion, you can build your health, you can build a family.
I see Bitcoin as this tool which will enable sort of next this AI revolution. When the price rises, irrespective of hyper Bitcoinization or just normal Bitcoinization, entities can like peg around that and print money to take more risk. Like today we are dependent on the Google data centers.
When the fiat system keeps diluting, keeps expanding, and also AI and fiat is centralizing everything, now AI will create deflation. When this happens, rich are going to get rich, poor are going to poor. Any asset holder, including real estate, mutual funds, all these asset holders also will gain from this entire shift of wealth.
When the price rises, right? And typically it sort of rises when these centralized players, the ETFs or the banks, start accumulating Bitcoins. What's your take on that?
If you are watching this, go buy 5,000 rupees worth of Bitcoin. And if you are a Bitcoiner who already has some Bitcoin,
Hi Deepak, welcome to the show. Thanks for taking out time. I know you as the author of this amazing book called The Spiritual Money and as the founder of microstartups.com and also a digital marketing expert. For the sake of our audience, can you introduce more about yourself, the thing that you want all of us to know about?
obviously I'm a Bitcoiner. That's how I like to introduce myself among the Bitcoin crowd, at least. They understand. But very short timeline without trying to stretch it too long. I did civil engineering, did not get a civil engineering job, got an IT job, rejected that offer, started a motorcycle blog back in 2008, ran it until 2012. It became the #1 motorcycle blog in India. Then I got married. Then hobby project like a motorcycle blog was not enough to sustain myself. So I needed to get a job. So I moved from Salem to Bangalore. Worked for 5 years in startups and corporate, including companies like Practo, Instamojo, Razorpay. The irony of it, I did not buy Bitcoin in 2016, but my employee ID in Razorpay was 21. Universe was trying to tell me, but I did not listen. Unfortunately, even though the people who I worked with, the friends, everybody was intelligent in their own way, nobody took Bitcoin seriously. They looked down on it, and some of them even look down on it today, which saddens me a lot. They are playing the fiat game very busily. I did not feel very belonged in the startup world. In the being an employee, I was not satisfied. I wanted to start some business. I started a digital marketing agency called Pixel Track. Ran it for 3 years until 2020. Then I started a digital marketing training company called Learn Today. Went ahead and bought learntoday.com, which I could have bought at least one Bitcoin with back in 2018. But Bitcoin comes to you, when you are ready, right? So I thought that I will make it into $1 billion company. I will dedicate my whole life for it. But at some point at around 2024, 2025, I realized that most of my goals were very ego driven in search for fame and validation. I did Vipassana 10-day course, and I was also starting to invest very little bit in Bitcoin back from 2022 itself. And it took time for me to differentiate Bitcoin from altcoins, see Bitcoin as energy itself than a coin or an asset or an investment. Suddenly, by 2024, to the surprise of my co-founder, I was not pursuing success anymore
Okay.
in the traditional startup sense.
Okay.
I didn't want any recognition. I didn't want any success metrics. I didn't want to raise funding for my startup. I didn't get also. That's another story. But it felt too difficult. And I was like, I'm not like built to work this hard. I want to chill. What's the point of life? Okay, even if I become a CEO of $1 billion company, I come on Forbes, Time magazine. So what? What does it change? You only have a day. Enjoy that day. And I think Bitcoin became an enabler for that. Rather than looking at Bitcoin as an investment, I'm now thinking of it in an angle where my energy is preserved in a highly scientific system, which no other system comes close. And every other system steals from you, while Bitcoin protects you. Yeah, so we can talk more about Bitcoin in this podcast as we go along, but that's me. So today, forget about all my identity that I did this startup agency or whatever. I don't really like even when people try to introduce me when I go to a college. They are like singing praises about me. Oh, he is a thought leader, international business expert. He has done a startup, this, that, TEDx speaker. Now I cringe. I'm like, don't even introduce me like that. Who are you? I'm Deepak. That's all. So that's a question that has become difficult to answer for me over a period of time.
Okay. Got it.
And that's very deeply rooted in the spiritual money concept of Bitcoin itself. Because if not for Bitcoin, I would still be like, hey, I achieved this, I achieved this. And trying to, look like I'm an important person and looking very miserable in that attempt, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said like a lot of your friends, they are into this fiat system, while you sort of started to understand Bitcoin and how the whole system is rigged, and you got into it, right? So did you ever try to speak with your friends and try to explain Bitcoin and
I did.
make them? How was that like? I asked this question because I've spent considerable amount of time in educating business owners, employees, even technologists about Bitcoin, and I find that even the most intelligent of people are not interested in Bitcoin, right?
Yes.
If they are willing to spend time on in learning about Bitcoin, I think a large majority would understand it. But people are mostly disinterested. They are like, it's scam. So this is the common thing that I see, right? So I want to hear from you what your journey was like when you tried to explain Bitcoin to others.
I've tried, I've burnt my fingers, I've got hurt, and I've decided not to try to orange pill these folks anymore. And the closest analogy that I can come with to understand the behavior of very intelligent people from IITs and IIMs who are extremely resistant towards Bitcoin as a new idea or a concept. There is this story I heard from Osho. I listened to Osho's audiobooks and I heard this story. It's an example, analogy. Don't know if it is true or not. There was this mental asylum, and India and Pakistan are separating. And the mental asylum is right in the middle of these two borders going. So the politicians come and ask these people, okay, now the country is being split into India and Pakistan.
Yeah.
Where do you want to be? Do you want to be in Pakistan or do you want to be in India? And these people in the insane asylum are like, what's wrong with this guy? We don't want to be anywhere. We want to be here.
Okay.
And then the politicians built a wall right in the center. And these became Pakistanis and these became Indians. Now, who is the mad person here? Whether the people in the insane asylum or the politicians who are trying to create a border between these two. The way I look at it is that for them we are idiots, for us they are idiots. And one of the reason why it's very difficult to unplug people from the matrix, looking at that way, because orange pilling, red pill matrix, that analogy runs very deep in our community. Just like Morpheus in Matrix movie says that certain people you should not unplug. It's not going to rest with them well. They cannot take it. You just need to be young enough, open enough, like Neo, where you can unplug them and they can see the reality. Okay, I was living in a virtual world. Now this is the real world. The reason why it is so difficult to unplug them is because many of the pedigree folks, right? I will just call them pedigree rather than calling it IIT, IIMs, even though that forms a large portion of it. You have colleges like, very good reputed colleges, merit-based system. The system that works for them has been built on validation from fellow human beings. And that validation is deeply rooted in your identity. Now, Bitcoin is a tool that will rip away your identity unless you are a little bit inducted on the spiritual path. What is spiritual path? No religion, no mumbo jumbo. I am basically saying that you have an identity. My dad thinks of me something, you think of me something, somebody thinks of me something. Most of the people think of themselves as a reflection of all these people's opinion of them. If I ask somebody, who are you? Their answer is their perception of others' perception of them.
Yeah.
People think you are a good person. All the titles, PhD. You see some people in Instagram, they will put their name, comma, PhD. And they will put doctor. Right? Why? Because you think that you are better than other human beings because somebody gave you a title, whether it is MLA, MP, CA, IPS, IRS officer. Some people on LinkedIn will have list of MBA, comma, this, comma, that, comma. Doctors, I understand. You need to know, okay, these guys have studied this, I can go and treat myself. But most of the other people, doctor, generally what is the language? If I say doctor, he heals. Now you have done a PhD on some weird subject. Now what's the point of calling yourself doctor there? It's all an ego play. It's an identity play. Now, when you look at dewdrop, thinking of itself as dying, when it mixes into the ocean, it does not die. It becomes part of the ocean. It becomes infinite. The whole takes back the part, right? Now, human life, driven by the fear of death, driven by the fear that I will become non-existent at some point, is what drives human to chase these titles so that they can have some significance, they can have some identity. And that identity makes you feel safe somewhat because 1,000 years back, or 10,000 years back, whatever the timeline might be, when humans are living in tribes, the only thing that will ensure your survival is that you are the tribal leader or you are the friends of the tribal leader. If you are a slave, you are not getting a girlfriend, you are not getting a wife, you are not reproducing. Those people have been removed out of the gene pool.
Okay.
You need status. Otherwise, you are not going to survive. Technology has solved that problem. You could not communicate 1,000 miles. Today, we can do HD video streaming across 1,000 miles. Technology has solved the problem of requiring status as a requirement for survival. That technology is Bitcoin. Now, these people, for 10 years, 15 years, they don't realize that they are just consciousness. They think that they are their identity. Now you go introduce Bitcoin to them. It's going to rip away their belief system. It's going to rip away their identity. If you become a true Bitcoiner, you can go around without an identity. You don't need to introduce yourself. Who are you? I am just a loser or I am a guy. Don't care about me. You do your work. I will do my work is what I will say if I go to a conference, business conference, where everybody is like basically trying to have some stars on their shoulders, right?
Yeah.
They want recognition. They are so miserably looking for that validation.
Okay.
I don't go to such conferences anymore. Okay. I might be attending Bitcoin conferences, but business conferences, digital marketing conferences, everything is about an ego massage, right? So I don't want to rip away their identity.
Yeah.
And Bitcoin as a technology is for the first time in the history of mankind rewarding people who don't want status or don't want ego. Because to embrace Bitcoin, first you need to accept that you were wrong about Bitcoin because you did not buy Bitcoin when you discovered it. It was 1/100th or 1/10th of the price. Yeah. Now you need to accept that your opinion that you made on Bitcoin, which made you not take it seriously, you need that much humility to accept that, okay, I might be wrong, let me look into it. The people who are very strongly opinionated, they are not ready to accept their own mistake. So that lack of humility, these people will eventually come towards the last adoption, where the employer or somebody paying for their product and service says that Bitcoin hai lega. If you are not taking Bitcoin, I don't want to buy your product and service. At that time, when they are forced to buy Bitcoin, they will have regrets. I could have bought Bitcoin 10 years back, 20 years back. I'm saying 2030, 2040, 2050. And at some point, Bitcoin will rip away their identity. And I feel sorry for them. The earlier you can do it, the more peaceful you will be, and you will gain from this new technology, where the wealth is shifting from the egoistic people to the spiritual people. And that is the foundation of my book, Spiritual Money. So don't unplug people. Let them live in their delusion.
So does that mean that Bitcoin is only for deeply philosophical and spiritual folks as of now? As of we are doing this in 2025, right? So as of today, would you say that's who Bitcoin is for?
Deeply philosophical kind of looks elitist in some extent, and I would say that we can put a different angle to it. See, it's much easier for a beggar to achieve spiritual realization than for, let's say, a CEO of $1 billion startup or a VP of engineering of even $100 million startup, right? Because when you feel insignificant, when you feel small in this big world, you try to accumulate things. You want titles, you want recognition, you want fame, you want a bigger house, you want a bigger car, and you see yourself through the reflection of other people. Now, the thing with a beggar is that he thinks that if I have money someday, life will be sorted. He has hope. Rich people, let's say somebody who has achieved a net worth of 5 to 10 crores in the fiat system, will feel they have arrived somewhere, at least in the Indian context. Let's say internationally, even $1 million is such a big title, right? I'm a millionaire. So when people are trying to flaunt their millionaire status through cars and houses and get that recognition, it's like unlearning from that point becomes very difficult, right? Somebody who is accepting the fact, see, what I accepted as a fact is that, see, I worked at Razorpay. It's a $7.5 billion company now. And many people who work in startups, they get inspired by the startup founders. And they also want to become like that.
Sure.
And they sometimes underestimate how much hard work it takes, how much intelligence you need, skills you need, how much time that skills takes, and also the factor of luck. Like, for example, if you speak to the founder of Freshworks, he very clearly says that luck played a major role in Freshworks going public in US, and a lot of these early employees becoming extremely rich, right? So when you are like humble enough to accept that, okay, I might not be that hardworking, that focused, that intelligent, and that lucky at the same time, maybe I need to figure out a different way for me to survive and thrive. Then you look into Bitcoin. Then Bitcoin is ready for you. They say when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? So it comes to you when you drop that, when you go ahead and open up your mind to it.
Yeah.
So that opening up is very difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is
So
the way I would look at it. Yeah.
how do you think we can break it? Because you're quite right in saying it's for people that are not in, that want to, have freedom and have a really good life, but not in the category of the top 3% that you mentioned in your book, right? And Bitcoin is ready-made for them. But then when you go and explain it to them, it doesn't strike them that way, right? So how do we change that?
See, I think that when you look at, let's say, a corrupt politician or a bureaucrat, they will come to Bitcoin last. And one of the reasons that they don't look into Bitcoin is because, apart from the humility to accept that you might have been wrong about Bitcoin and look into it, if you are not an IIT, IIM pedigree, startup build kar liya, you have venture capital investors lining up, you have angel investors, that you are connected, the right networks, right clubs. When you are a normal employee, normal salary, you are working hard. You are creating products and services for other people. You are the producers in the economy. Every system has producers who produce more than they consume, and you have net consumers who consume more than they produce. Irrespective of what the world rewards today. Like for example, the world is rewarding Wall Street today. They don't produce anything. What do they produce of value? Right? Product or service that other human can use. That is what creates wealth in the first place. An engineer like Elon Musk, right? But when you have a politician like Donald Trump, it's better to use US examples because I don't want to hurt egoistic people ka feelings in the first place by mentioning any name here in our country. But people know what I am talking about. Generally, you see around, you will see doctors, you will see plumbers, electricians, construction workers, you will see cooks, maids, you will see drivers. These are producers creating real value. When you are creating real value, and when you are trying to secure your future by storing that energy somewhere, and you see that energy leaking, let's say mutual funds investors. Mutual funds sahi hai, sahi hai, sahi hai. Kya sahi hai usme? People who are in mutual funds not even beat inflation.
Yeah.
Past 2 years, let's say.
Yeah.
So when you have that frustration that I have worked hard, I have created value for other people, that is my life energy.
Yeah.
I want a container for that life energy, a container that does not leak that energy.
Yeah.
Then Bitcoin makes sense. It's like your lithium ion battery, reliable battery, economic battery. The net consumers who are parasites in the system. What does Donald Trump do? Nothing. All he does is talk politics. Does not create anything of real value that people can use. Not a car, not a rocket, or not even a simple handicraft item that a villager in Tamil Nadu can create a nice handicraft item. Donald Trump can't make it. He is of net zero value to the world. He just talks. Now, the net consumers or the parasites in the system, the right word is parasite, they don't look at Bitcoin because their frustration of not being able to save the energy does not even exist because they did not do anything useful to create that energy in the first place. They did not create anything of value. Whether you took bribe or whether you got paid legally from people's tax money, people who are productive entrepreneurs, productive artisans, workers. Now this is what is being leached off. Okay. Now that is free money for you. Yeah. You sat, you did politics, you wrote some exam, you got some title. Yeah. Real kaam kahan kiya? Where did you do the real work? Yeah. Now because you don't have that problem of your energy leaking, because you never created the energy at the first place, the wealth is shifting from that part of the society to the part of the real creators. Okay. If not for Bitcoin, it's like a virus attacks a host. Yeah. The host dies, but with that the virus also will die. Yeah. From Roman Empire to Spanish Empire, everything died because of debasement. Yeah. Debasement is going on very clearly. Yeah. Now in this shift from fiat money and currency debasement, world which has been happening over and over and over again, this is like 2009 Bitcoin invention is like the center point. People in the future will look at, like today we say BCAD. It will become pre-Bitcoin, post-Bitcoin. It's 5,000 years before Bitcoin, 5,000 years later Bitcoin. Now Bitcoin as a system is a consensus, it's a language and everything. And my most exciting part about Bitcoin is that it is shifting to egoless people, the wealth, and it is also shifting to people who actually produce and create value for the humanity. Like an antibiotic, just this point, like an antibiotic, Bitcoin is a silent revolution which is healing the system. Okay. You don't need to protest on the roads that rules change karo. Okay. You move to a new system. Yeah. This system is the healing system. This system is the parasitic system which will kill the whole, so the parasites will also die. Okay. All the corrupt politicians today, like go on Bangalore roads, how many potholes are there? Yeah. The politician, the contractor, whoever was in that line, made more money, built a compound for themselves. Yeah. Inside there is a garden. You have a gardener, you have a watchman and everything. Yeah. How long, bro? Eventually you have to step out, no? Yeah. Why can't you build the whole country? Why do you have to just build your house from corrupt money? Yeah. Right? But no point in trying to become an activist. No point in trying to go ahead and become an organization which can expose this corrupt system, corrupt politicians, bureaucrats and everybody. Everybody watching this, no need to take offense, right? Even if, first of all, a Bitcoin podcast, a politician or a bureaucrat is the last one to see. Yeah. But if he has the patience to watch it until 10, 15 minutes down the line, the person watching this also knows, bro, you are a parasite. Accept it. Okay. Enjoy being a parasite if you want. No, but don't be in this like, no, I'm doing some moral work here. Nobody is doing moral work. A ditch cleaner or a sewage cleaner is doing more moral work, right? So my anger in the system, which all of us have, social media may be post or a potholes is this corruption. Uh, Channelize all that anger into understanding Bitcoin, understanding the technology, and talk about it. People who want to listen will listen, irrespective of whether this adoption accelerates or not. Number go up will take care of it. All the people will eventually come for the greed, stay for the revolution. That's the way I look at it.
Very interesting way. How you put the current system as parasitic and Bitcoin as the antibiotic there, right? Very interesting way of looking at it. I think you are used to talking about Bitcoin to Bitcoiners, right? People who understand it. In this, the audience probably may not understand some of the terminologies you are using. So I'd want your help
Sure.
to explain some of that. So you mentioned, Bitcoin as a saver of energy, and debasement, which is the root cause of people not being to save energy right now, right? Maybe let's start with that. Can you help me and others understand
Yes.
how Bitcoin helps you save energy, and
Yes.
also, the concept of debasement?
Yes. Yes. So before we get into that point, I also believe that rather than trying to orange pill non-Bitcoiners, make the existing Bitcoiners more toxic. That way they can go and make other Bitcoiners more toxic. I feel bad that the toxic Bitcoiners were not toxic enough that I got orange pilled back in 2016. Right? If somebody was believing in Bitcoin, why are you sitting and hesitating on the sidelines? Come hold my collar and give me a slap and say, bro, look into it. No. I knew people who recommended me Bitcoin back in 2014. I say, bolke chhod diya. Dude, if you believed in it, like, you should have made me believe in it, right? So now I know Bitcoiners who have 10% of their net worth in Bitcoin. I want to convert them into 90% net worth in Bitcoin rather than trying to get somebody off from zero. Because the guy sitting at zero will come when Bitcoin is at a million. They will come when Bitcoin is at 10 million. No doubt about it, right? It's a mathematical certainty which we understand. People watching might not understand why we have so much conviction because they have not put in the work. But anyway, if anybody is slightly orange pilled, they are the ones watching this podcast. Let me try to get them more orange pilled by going into these layers of understanding energy itself, right? So, obviously, for the deepest insights, people can read my book. I don't want to start from the history of money, why money exists, barter system, double coincidence of wants, all that I don't want to get into. Let me try to put it this way. There are multiple levels of thinking. Intellectually lazy people don't go to layer 2, layer 3. They just follow the herd, they are sheep. Somebody is watching, they are like, I don't want to be sheep anymore, is why they are watching this.
Yeah.
Now, on level 1, if you want to think, I work in a job or I do some business, I get some money. Basic understanding people have, I cannot keep money as money because money will dilute in value. The cost of things will go up. Whether they understand inflation or not, they do understand that I need to invest this somewhere. So what does your wealth manager recommend? Chalo sir, real estate thoda le lo. Get some mutual funds, get some stocks, get some blue chip stocks. Then you can have some gold. Bitcoin, no Bitcoin, because the wealth manager does not understand Bitcoin. The wealth manager's very existence is threatened because of Bitcoin. So obviously they won't understand Bitcoin. I know wealth managers who are Bitcoiners themselves, and they do wealth management for other people and they don't recommend Bitcoin. I know such people as well, right? Because they have just got tired of trying to explain it to clients. Sometimes, like whatever the customer wants, you give. If the customer is not happy with Bitcoin, then they don't recommend it. So this cannot be spoon fed. You have to go and pluck the fruits yourself and eat it, right?
Okay.
This is level 1 when you go ahead and just leave it to your wealth manager to like do a portfolio allocation. Level 2, you start thinking, okay, now my growth rate is not as good as how much cost of living is increasing. Looks like I might not be able to beat it. Apart from gold and Bitcoin, nothing will beat anything, right? I mean, nothing will beat the returns of inflation, is what I believe. Especially with the inflation becoming more and more violent and more turbulent as we go in the next 10, 20 years. People have to understand that the current monetary system itself is built on debt. Without debt, there is no money. And rather than going into the technical, simple analogy is to think of it like blowing up a balloon. If you blow it very fast and suddenly it becomes big, but it's early stage, then you can let out a little bit of air. Okay, now it looks like it might burst, so let me little bit of air. Now the way the air goes in and goes out is not very violent when the balloon is small, but let's say you have blown the balloon this big, okay, and it still has not burst. Let's say you blew up a condom, okay, and that won't burst, but it feels like it might burst anytime. Now you try to let out air, it will come out very violently. So even if you little bit try to keep the interest rate high and say that let deflation happen, it will just violently collapse. And since it won't gradually collapse, no soft landing, Powell will keep saying soft landing. I mean, people can go and look it up, Jerome Powell, soft landing, just Google it. If some terms I am saying people don't understand, they can Google it on the side. Now, there is no possibility of soft landing. Now we are accelerating this faster and faster. So because I am a biker, let me give a bike analogy. If I am going at 60, coming down to 30 is very easy. But if I am going at 200, coming down to 100 is very difficult, right? You have to be very focused, very channelized when you are going at 200 kmph. And the bad thing that could happen if you are going at 200 kmph is that you could crash and come down to like zero immediately, right? It's very difficult to like immediately come down to 100, right? So the faster and faster you go, your capability to slow down becomes more difficult, and too many variables are involved. Smallest, like if you are going at 200 in a bike, which I do not recommend anybody do, but I have been on a bike which is way more than 200. Smallest of hornet or a bee coming and sticking into your helmet could throw you off balance. Now imagine if I am afraid to slow down, and if I think that slowing down I might crash, and from 200 I go to 300, from 300 to go to 400, eventually I will crash, no?
Yeah.
That's what is happening with inflation, economy, current monetary system, current world order.
Okay.
If I keep interest rates high and let deflation happen, jobs are not happening, things are getting centralized, I cannot afford to do it, let's reduce the interest rate. The more you reduce the interest rate and further down you are in this path of the inevitable fiat game, the less you have capability to try to bring back sanity into the market again. At some point, it's just going to go out of control. Government debt is going to spiral out of control. Inflation will spiral out of control. And the smallest effort to try to reduce the speed of inflation will threaten 2008 kind of financial crisis immediately. Imagine you try to reduce, you try to increase the interest rate 1%. Immediate threaten like full global economic recession, because the domino of debt will keep falling, and then the entire monetary system will kind of contract 90% and jobs will be lost, businesses will go out, and all that pain will happen, right? Now Bitcoin is a parallel system that will try to it's a lifeboat, the sinking economic ship, you get onto a lifeboat. So to think on this level, as I said, level 2, even before you get to level 5, which is energy, you first need to be a producer, which we talked about earlier. Yeah. I'm producing things, I'm not able to catch up. My parents were able to survive, like my dad, family of 4, like 2 kids, mom, dad, 1,500 salary 20 years back, 20, 30 years back. 1,500 salary, they were able to raise 2 kids. School fees was 3 months once 100 rupees. That's how I did when I was in first standard, right? So now people are starting to see that, okay, there is something wrong in the system, maybe I will look into it. Then they will first not understand the difference between Bitcoin and altcoins. Crypto mein paisa dalte hain. They will go and put money in crypto. In one cycle, they will burn their fingers. Then they will learn Bitcoin more. Now, to see it as energy itself, you need to at least buy a small mining machine and mine it yourself. When you see how hard the mining machine works to produce a little bit of sats, then you understand that, hey, it's working so hard, consuming so much electricity to produce this much sats. I have some money, I can go buy those sats, because those sats were also created through mining. Maybe at a little bit earlier stage when there was less competition, but doesn't matter. It still took energy to create it. Now, when you look at your phone, iPhone is reliable technology, or whatever phone nowadays you get. You don't carry 2 phones. You don't carry a power bank with you all the time. You don't carry a cable all the time. Imagine if you have a phone and wherever you go, sometimes the battery suddenly dies. Sometimes you need a charge. Sometimes you need a power bank. Then you are always carrying 2 phones, or you are like having cables, chargers. then you are having a extra power bank, everything. Imagine how chaotic your life will be. Today you charge your phone in the morning, you go out, even if you go on a trip into a forest, you don't carry two phones because you know that, okay, it's that reliable, right? People who diversify, they are doing that because it's not a reliable system to store your energy. You worked hard, you made money, it's your energy, you have put it in service of other people owe you services back in the future. So you need to store your energy across space and time. Now that energy is what you are putting in mutual funds, stocks, private equity, gold, real estate, right? A very interesting point about real estate I have, which I will come to it a little bit later. But when people are putting their diversified energy in all of this, that's because no system is reliable. Imagine if phones are extremely unreliable, but you need phones anyway, you might carry 3 phones, 4 phones with you. Now imagine iPhone or the latest technology of phones, you don't have that reliability issue, so mostly you just chill with it, right? Bitcoin is that for your economic battery. Once you have such a reliable system, you don't charge your iPhone for 100% and then try to charge it to 200, 300, 400%, right?
Okay.
Or carry extra power banks always with you. You first use that charge, then you charge it again. Bitcoin will slow down your life because now you know that your energy is put in a system which can contain that energy without leakage, and it will grow and it will beat inflation. You have that confidence in it. It's the foundation on top of which you can build your passion, you can build your health, you can build a family. This was there 1960, let's say in US, the baby boom period. Now we don't have that. Bitcoin is the only reliable system that can protect your energy. So it's hard to get. But if somebody has put some of their life savings in Bitcoin and waited for 5 years and it goes up, and then you study Bitcoin, watch podcasts like this, read books, experiment with it, do mining, create a cold wallet, create multisig wallet, move from here to there, do different types of seed generation, do your dice roll seed generation, entropy, whatever. You need to get down to that level to build that level of confidence. And if you put in that work, then it will change your life. If you don't want to put in that work, want to be intellectually lazy, saw somebody on some news channel saying that, oh, Bitcoin is a hype. Although 16 years se they are saying no. If 16 years ke baad, if it has still not died, you better look into it. I woke up in 2020. I started studying it deeply towards end of 2020. Everybody comes to Bitcoin at the price they deserve. And the price is drop your ego, drop your identity. That is the price.
Many interesting points you made here. There are two things that I want to go deeper into.
Okay.
So, one is that you mentioned Bitcoin as a parallel system, right? But what's happening out there is a lot of banks are custodying Bitcoins. A lot of asset management companies, both crypto as well as fiat asset management companies, are custodying, Bitcoins. So, what's your take on this sort of institutional adoption, right? Because you come from this worldview of Bitcoiners and how it buys you freedom, but then there is this other thing happening where centralized entities,
Bitcoin
which is sort of, Bitcoin is sort of against the centralization. But
Bitcoin
then,
looks like it is infected with fiat sickness.
okay,
Is the right way to put it, right?
yeah, but
It is getting fiated
now I have a
with
follow-up
central.
question on that. You also mentioned how Bitcoin, is like a storer of energy, or saves your energy, right? And then you sort of benefit from the saving when the price rises, right? And typically it sort of rises when these centralized players, the ETFs or the banks, start accumulating Bitcoins. Uh, what's your take on that? Because I see like Bitcoin as this gray thing. I would like it to be white, not black, but I see it as this gray thing where it enables an individual to pursue freedom, creativity, and whatnot. But at the same time, they can do that when these institutions see the potential of Bitcoin as a technology and then like start adopting it. That's my view. What's your take on it?
Again, best explained through my own personal thought patterns, which generally goes via analogies. Um, let's say you have a human baby born and it's now 3 years old. You can't be offended by the fact that it's getting infected by a cold virus, right? Or you cannot be offended by the fact that to make them immune to certain viruses, you actually have to inject uh, defective virus, which is what is a vaccine, and make them immune to it. So Bitcoin as a system is getting infected from the fiat system. Obviously, as Bitcoiners, we do enjoy the price going up, because price going up is the ultimate marketing for it, which will create more Bitcoiners. Let's say 3 million Bitcoin is left in the exchanges today. We just need 30 lakh people or 3 million people to buy one Bitcoin each to take it all out of circulation and drive the price up to infinity. But obviously, we cannot expect that to happen overnight. Maybe there is one person who watches this podcast, and maybe this podcast might take out 0.1 Bitcoin out of circulation. My book might have taken out 1 Bitcoin out of circulation, right? So slowly, as we take it out of circulation, the fiat system, which has adopted Bitcoin for fiat gains, will eventually realize a fiat profit on it. And it will come back to Bitcoiners who are hodlers like us. It will eventually come back here only. Just like water evaporates, goes to the cloud, rains, and comes back to the ocean and comes back to earth. It will eventually get distributed. And this is required for the price to go up. Because Bitcoiners who are enjoying the price rise are not like, okay, I 10x'd my investment and you exit. Because you will exit and put it on what? Right? You cannot like exit Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the exit. Right? People who have bought Bitcoin for $100, sold it at $10,000, are now buying back at $100,000. I know Bitcoiners who had 20, 30 Bitcoins. Now they are struggling to accumulate one Bitcoin, because now their mindset has changed that this is the future. Earlier they felt like they won a lottery. Now eventually, for Bitcoin to get full adoption and get into hyper Bitcoinization, these things has to happen, including the ETFs, including the Bitcoin treasury companies, because a company like MicroStrategy has basically put a funnel into the fiat system to funnel out fiat money into Bitcoin, because the amount of money in the hands of individuals like you and me in the entire fiat system, which was the parasitic system's negative point for us in the first place. Now Michael Saylor has put a hosepipe into the fiat system, and fiat is hungrily looking for returns. And all those returns will like come into Bitcoin eventually, because they just need those returns, right? Because as inflation catches up and governments keep devaluing your currency, the need for higher risk and higher investment goes up. But higher risk is only perceived by them. Good that they perceive it as high risk, because after 10x they will sell. And they will sell to whom? To long-term holders, to who are believers, who want to change the world with Bitcoin. There might be people who will 10x their wealth and then buy real estate with it. I am against real estate. Land is ours. Every human born on earth has the right towards the land. Saying that this is my land, yours land itself is stupid. It's a very imaginary ownership, because if you have a plot of land, what makes it yours? Somebody else is saying it's yours. Who is saying? The current system. I am not saying it is this political party, that political party. I am not saying it's the government. I am saying it's the law, it's the police system, it's the political system. Everything included the system, which is built on top of fiat, is what is telling you, boss, this is your real estate. They give you a stamp paper. Now for that stamp paper, you have to pay 2%. It has increased from 1% to 2% here in Karnataka. Eventually, it will keep increasing everywhere until it becomes too painful that nobody wants to invest in real estate anymore. Now, okay, fine. Let's say I have a plot and I have a house on top of that plot. Some document says that, bro, this is yours. Now, the ownership is, how is it protected? Let's say I rent it out to somebody and some goons start living there and they don't vacate. If they don't vacate, I cannot sell the property. I am not able to collect rent from there. Now I will go file a police case. Then the legal system will get involved. If the police comes and tells that, bro, this is his property, please vacate. And if they say no, they will eventually have to resort to violence. So my property rights, my energy is protected through violence. You buy real estate if you want to promote violence. Your country's borders are protected by violence. You enter my border, I will kill you, right? Now, when you have a better technology, I mean, like, do you still use cab by randomly going to a cab aggregator place? No, you go to a cab aggregator app. Kunal Shah says Delta 4 technology. That 4 deltas better if you have a technology, you will never go back to the old one. You started booking Ola and Uber, you are never going to the previous. It's a significant change from the previous system. Bitcoin is Delta 4 You can say delta 4 for money, it's for economy, for technology, but I say it's a delta 4 leap for human energy storage, right? It's a delta 4 leap. So once you get into that level, you are never going back to the old system. Hyper Bitcoinization, when it hits, and I feel sorry for anyone who is a no coiner. If you are watching this, go buy 5,000 rupees worth of Bitcoin. And if you are a Bitcoiner who already has some Bitcoin, everybody you are trying to orange pill who you really care for, right? Not the other people. Other people you leave, family, friends. Tell them, bro, put 5,000 in Bitcoin or 2,000 in Bitcoin. If you lose, I will give you that 2,000. As a Bitcoiner, you know that you won't lose it. 4 years later, they will be like, what? 2,000, 10,000 ho gaya, aise kaise? Now they will start thinking and they will start reading about it. If I had bought one Bitcoin back in 2013 for $100 when I discovered it, I would have paid more attention to it, understood more, and then I would have eventually bought more and more. But the fact that I did not even put that 5K or 10K made me realize only in 2020 that I have to take this seriously, read the Bitcoin Standard book by Saifuddin, and then went ahead and became orange pilled. So now that is one more strategy which I have. Put 5,000, put 2,000. If it goes down, I will guarantee, or you think you made me a donation, or you think you gave, a lot of people give money to relatives. No, it never comes back. No, you give 5,000 to me and forget about it. One day it will grow, right? You wait for 10 years, that 5,000 becomes 2 lakhs, right? Something like that. Then they will, pay attention to it. So yeah, that's the way I look at it.
Got it. You keep mentioning about this hyper Bitcoinization. I have some thought on it, especially as you mentioned also Fed and Jerome Powell earlier, right? So the US government, has this $37 trillion national debt, largely incurred because they created this parasitic financial system, and they buy everything with the money that they print. Right? They can just print money to do whatever they want. Do you think Bitcoin could be an exit for the US government right now, and that's how hyper Bitcoinization would come to fore?
A lot of people in the general fiat community, they are still like, the people who don't look into Bitcoin. Oh, you Bitcoiners just got lucky because Trump came and he is supporting crypto and Bitcoin is going up. In fact, if Kamala Harris had come, it would have gone up even more because their policies were more driven towards inflation. So I believe that we don't need the governments, we don't need ETFs, we don't need MicroStrategy to reach hyper Bitcoinization. Bitcoin will do what Bitcoin does. Number will go up. Slowly, eventually, it will go up. Where I feel hyper Bitcoinization will start happening is because there is a chance that yes, Trump has accumulated a lot of Bitcoin, his family has accumulated a lot of Bitcoin, their incentives align for the US to accumulate Bitcoin. But again, when you say the US has Bitcoin, the government has Bitcoin, there is always this question of who holds the private keys. And did you create a multi-sig wallet and give it to all the ministers and senators or whatever the leaders of the country might be? And what happens when an election happens and then new government comes? How are you going to pass on the keys? If you are passing on the keys, how are you going to make sure the old keys are destroyed? Too much of complexity here. I'm still unable to understand how countries custody Bitcoin. But irrespective of that, since we don't have so much insights on what might happen, Bitcoin still looks like a tool for individuals than corporations and nations. I believe that there will come a point where Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does. It goes to 1 million, it goes to 5 million, it goes to 10 million. And everybody is flying to Bitcoin as a safety net for protecting their energy. It might create a housing crisis at some point, because if you buy a house for 1 crore, you put 20 lakh down payment, you take 80 lakh loan. You buy a house to protect yourself against inflation, but you took an 80 lakh loan which is creating inflation. And people don't realize that. Oh, gar chahiye, very ego and identity driven. There is a feeling of proudness and there is a feeling of jealousy among relatives. They do it for that, right? So I don't have a house. I rent a house. I'm a son of the earth. That's how I see it. As much as possible, my identities are stripped off from me. I'm a human being born on earth. As simple as that. Now, the way I look at it is that when the fiat system keeps diluting, keeps expanding, And also AI and fiat is centralizing everything. The very reason AI exists now rather than 100 years later is because of the fiat system. Without the centralization of capital, you cannot run the servers required for AI or invest in that level of technology where people are dying out of hunger still in the world, right? Fiat system created AI. Now, AI will create deflation because AI will remove the requirement for, let's say, construction workers, cab drivers, cooks and maids also might be removed, right, at some point. When this happens, rich are going to get rich, poor are going to poor, going to get poorer. Any asset holder, including real estate, mutual funds, all these asset holders also will gain from this entire shift of wealth because as fiat expands too fast, all the asset holders get protected to some extent. Bitcoiners get protected the most, but we are also seeding a hyper Bitcoinized world. So we don't need to feel guilty that kuch bhi nahi kar rahe, number is going up, I don't need to work anymore. All the fiat asset holders also will gain, but that's your top 3%, let's say. Rest of the 97% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck. Now your entire cost of living is going up. My maid auntie has been working with me for 8 years. I pay her very disproportionately compared to what other houses pay. I've seen her house rent go from 5,000 to 17,000. They are struggling. This is capitalistic aristocracy. You can be a master when you don't know that you are a master without guilt, and you can be a slave without creating a revolution or protesting about it when you don't know you are a slave. That is the system we are living right now. Now, a very fast expansion of fiat in the next 10-20 years will create every asset holder to significantly benefit from it, because I know a lot of rich people who are completely not into Bitcoin, but they are still rich. But how did they get rich? Because of this asset holding and inflation happening, right? You have extracted the wealth from the 97% to the top 3%. You are a leech of energy. Unfortunately, on some level, if you are a Bitcoiner and not being positive in terms of creating net production, you are also a leech. Okay. If you just got Bitcoin very, very early, and then you just got lucky, maybe you can consider it that because you could see the foresight that this could lead to a hyper Bitcoinized world, that's the reward that Bitcoin gives you. It's not necessarily leech of energy from productive people. You are actually creating that much value, because if the OG Bitcoiners did not buy and hodl Bitcoin, Bitcoin wouldn't even have reached $5,000, right? They did that value because we are going to a hyper Bitcoinized world because of them. But when you look at this particular dynamic that is happening of rapid expansion of fiat creating massive wealth inequality, government is not going to come and tell you that, oh, we printed so much money, asset holders have become so rich, that is why these people are jobless and these people's livelihood is not good because of the fiat system. They are not going to say that. They are going to come and say that we need to redistribute the wealth. 97% of the votes is what they want, not the 3%, right? My dad was paying something like 10,000 rupees a year for property. It has become 10x. Now, when government starts taxing you left, right, and center, like 97% tax kind of theoretical limit ke liye, we are heading towards it. I believe that a lot of rich people might start running towards Bitcoin as a way to protect themselves. Bitcoin and gold, right? Because it can be self-custodied. It can be independent of jurisdiction. Let's say you are living in some banana republic. I don't want to comment on India for safety reasons because I am living in India. But let's say you are living in a banana republic. The government does not respect your property rights. You are going to store your energy in a system that protects your property rights, right? Now, when there is massive restriction on self-custody and buying Bitcoin itself, the only way people can acquire Bitcoin is by selling stuff for Bitcoin. Now, irrespective of whether the government buys, treasury buys, corporate treasury buys, or whatever, when Bitcoin number goes up and when people want to exit into Bitcoin, but they are not able to buy Bitcoin from an exchange because all the exchanges are banned now, theoretical future. Right now we have exchanges. We even have exchanges where self-custody is legal. When it is legal, go buy it now only. 2030 post, I don't believe that there is a way to buy Bitcoin. You have to sell your products and services for Bitcoin or work for Bitcoin. You have to earn Bitcoin. But very interestingly, when a bunch of people want to sell their service products to earn Bitcoin, you don't need to convert your Bitcoin into fiat and then buy your products and services with that fiat. Because these people are accepting Bitcoin directly, you start paying with Bitcoin. Now this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy and a self-feeding cycle. More products and services are available because Bitcoin price is going up. These people want Bitcoin. Bitcoiners don't need to convert it into fiat because you can buy products and services directly with Bitcoin. We might be 30, 40, 50 years later into this, or this might happen in 10 years also. Bitcoiners are very bad at predicting, because once you get orange pilled, you expect everybody to get orange pilled very fast. It took 4 years for me to get to this level of toxic orange pilling, right? We underestimate it takes time, right? So let it take time. It will still give you the best returns compared to any other asset. When this feeding cycle starts happening, you are cutting out fiat from the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. Provided quantum does not break encryption, because nothing is 100% sure. Provided layer 2 builds reliably. There are issues with Lightning Network till today. I have done my research. It's not at a level where you can release Lightning to the whole world and ask everybody to transact in Bitcoin. As Bitcoin goes to 1 million, there will be more Bitcoiners, OG Bitcoiners investing into Bitcoin startups to build the underlying technology to build layer 2s and layer 3s. But when you start having reliable self-custody in layer 2, because not everybody can afford to self-custody in layer 1, you might pay $50 to $100 for a single transaction to move it on the layer 1, primary settlement layer. Provided all this happens, and I believe it will happen, and I do my part to contribute to it by talking about it, increasing adoption and everything. Provided this happens, suddenly overnight, somebody has $10 million and he is like, bro, take 10 million, give me 1 Bitcoin. Like, bro, I don't need your 10 million. What would I do with that 10 million? What will I buy with that 10 million? First of all, I won't buy any bulk thing with 10 million. I need maybe 500,000 right now to buy maybe a Ferrari. I will, the dealership is accepting Bitcoin. So suddenly when you start having no exchange rate, like for example, you see very small markets with very small currencies. There is no liquidity in the system. You want to pay with some kind of currency in some kind of banana republic. There is nobody to sell. US dollar will come to that extent sooner or later. People are not accepting the dollars for Bitcoin. That's when the guy who is offering 10 million will be like, chalo 20 million le lo. Because I have all this fiat, it's worthless and it's diluting. And whatever money I put this in, which is controlled by the system, it's taxing me to death. That I can't even save 10% of it. I don't mind putting 20 million for a Bitcoin. And that's when people will see, maybe it goes from 50 to 100 million like that. My personal prediction is that maybe we can look back at this podcast 5-10 years later, that around 2035 to 2040 is when you are going to have the hyper Bitcoinization period, where it will be almost doubling every 2 to 3 months. 100K today we have. Imagine 100K becoming 200K by December, goes to 400K by March, goes to 800K by July next year, and by end of next year it's at 2 million. Imagine the kind of psychological effect it will have on people. All the people who are saying, array Bitcoin, no future, array scam coin, all those people will line up. And that's where hyper Bitcoinization starts happening. And that will happen when you stop exchanging Bitcoin for fiat. And you do that when more people are accepting Bitcoin. And more people are accepting Bitcoin because they have no other way to accumulate Bitcoin.
Very interesting.
So this is my personal belief. It might work out this way, or it might take another route and still reach 10 million also. Maybe MicroStrategy goes to 10% of the supply, and just because of that it reaches 10 million. That could also happen.
Yeah. I have a slightly different take on the timings. The way I see it, so far, Bitcoin price has been tracking M2 money supply, right? And you also spoke about house loans, right? And house loans are part of this M2 money, right? So I see a future where the business cycle is ending right now. The tariff war is happening because countries are deciding how they want to deal with each other. Should America become a manufacturing nation again? Should India continue to be this IT services nation, or should we diversify into something? Should we go internally, just expand the market inside our country, or should we do exports and still continue globalizing? So a lot of these conversations are going. I see a future where this business cycle is gonna end, and then the next business cycle, the central entities are gonna print more money, but with Bitcoin price to track it, right? When that happens, I think Bitcoin price will rise. So hyper Bitcoinization for me isn't that far away.
Oh wow,
It's probably like, I would say, you know,
2030,
yeah, somewhere between 2025 and
30.
2030.
Okay.
I sort of expect it to happen. Um, that's sort of
Rather than looking at hyper Bitcoinization as Bitcoin going to 5 million or 10 million, let's look at hyper Bitcoinization as the period which pushes more than 30% of humanity's transaction on the Bitcoin network. We could see it as hyper Bitcoinization irrespective of the price. If more than 30% of all the trade, individual trade as well as national level trade, company level trade, state level trade starts happening on Bitcoin, that could be called as hyper Bitcoinization. It's a very broad, very vague term which people just said hyper Bitcoinization. We have to really see, this has never happened in the history of mankind. We just have an intuition that it's going to happen. So it's really going to be fun watching this, and I could not be more happy, being born at this time, where there is this biggest shift in the information revolution. Also, we lived through from Nokia 1100 phone to an iPhone today, where you can watch 4K videos on your iPhone. The monetary revolution is something which is a very interesting time to live through. And rather than looking at, oh, I lived through it and I was aware enough to look into Bitcoin, understand it, and buy Bitcoin at a cheaper price. If you give me an option, I would be rather born in, let's say, 2150, where the world is hyper Bitcoinized, than be born in 2025, where Bitcoiners are seen as the culprits for the collapse of the current monetary order. Because Bitcoin will collapse the current monetary order. People will blame Bitcoin for it, and the blame will be true. Because when, let's say, house owners start rushing into Bitcoin, to a lot of people have 2 houses, 3 houses as a portfolio. They are like, okay, I'm okay with one house, which is still something. Even though I rent now, eventually I will just have that one house so that I can live without a landlord, so that I can customize my house without fearing that I have to move out. One house is fine, which is a utility. But all the people who are using houses as a portfolio to protect their energy, if they start rushing into Bitcoin, a bank gives loan on a 1 crore property and it gives 80 lakh loan with an assumption that the price of that house is not going to go below 80 lakh. But if you have 10% of the house owners move into Bitcoin for returns, and let's say a bunch of real estate investors watch podcasts like this, then who do you think is going to be blamed? People like us. That, hey, because of Bitcoin, housing crisis is happening, right? Because of you, we got exposed. That's basically what they are saying. But they are saying that because of you, this is happening, so Bitcoin is bad. So ban kar do Bitcoin ko. So that way, if it gets banned, then I'm okay to comply, right? Maybe I go on a boat somewhere, right, for a vacation. So that way, when you look at the sovereign power that Bitcoin gives to an individual, uh, you can be a Bitcoiner, I can be a Bitcoiner. I transact with you on layer 1. It's as good as international trade. One of the book title ideas that I have for my next Bitcoin book, to predict how hyper Bitcoinization will happen, the title of the book will be called 8 Billion Nations, right? You are sovereign and you are a nation by yourself. Your personal identity is your own country, your own religion, your own system. And you get to a world where there are no borders. Utopian, yes, but we can dream big, right? If Satoshi Nakamoto did not dream this, we would not have Bitcoin today. So I believe that we eventually become 2,000 countries, 3,000 countries, then scatter more, become 10,000 countries, then we become 100,000 cities. Balaji Srinivasan talks a lot about it. Network state and
state is,
yes,
is that utopia, but it's not based in this real land. It's based in a sort
yes,
of a metaverse
yes.
land, right? Like you can stay in India, you can stay in Singapore, you can stay in Lithuania and still be part of network state. That sort of is.
He is predicting more of, let's say, 50, 100 years later. If you think about 300, 500,000 years later, nobody cares which nation you are and there are no passports. You can travel anywhere because there is no crime. And you are just an individual. Your private key is your identity, right? So that way, eventually, everybody becomes self-sovereign. and you are born and you get good education, and then maybe AI teaches you education. I don't know what will happen, but can we have the kind of level that we have reached, right? Obviously, we are not billionaires or whatever, but we are sitting in an air conditioned podcast studio and talking something very deep on an intellectual stuff. I believe every human can be like this if they were given the right opportunities, right? I mean, I did not earn this. I went to a good school. That was because of my dad put me to a good school. That's because he had resources and everything. So eventually, everybody will get there. It will become an abundant world, right? So I think that is more important, and whether we see it in our lifetime or not, and how far we go, everything becomes long-term thinking, right? I used to be a smoker. I stopped smoking because I'm not going to die young and not see hyper Bitcoinization happen. What if I die in 80 years age and by 90 the world has become Bitcoin standard?
Yeah.
I want to live to see that,
Yeah.
right? So I follow a lot of Brian Johnson now.
Yeah.
I'm now starting to think about longevity,
Yeah.
yoga, health, vitamins, supplements, testing. I would have never had this luxury to focus this much on my health. You go look at my 2018 TEDx talk. I look like an old guy. Now I look like younger. Okay, I have more energy, more enthusiasm, and I've become more childlike. I've become like fun. I've become innocent. And I think that will obviously increase my health span, right? So Bitcoin is the foundation on top of which this has been built. And everybody deserves that. And I hope everybody gets it.
Yeah, I think just to follow up on what you're saying, uh, this everyone needs Bitcoin, and you are trying to predict hyper Bitcoinization. I think hyper Bitcoinization will sort of coincide with AGI, right? When there is this intelligence that is so powerful that it can do, you know, anything that human can do, anything that the best human mind can do, and probably more, then what do we all have to do, right, in that world? And probably that's the time when you would have uh, the value of Bitcoin rise so high that people just live in the era of abundance, right?
Yeah, of course. I believe that artificial intelligence will eventually get decentralized. It's already happening. Like more and more smaller companies are having access to exclusive models, and it is not only controlled by the NVIDIAs and the open AIs of the world. It's a technology just like communication was our first technology. What differentiated us from animals is that we can communicate. Because we could communicate, we could form a hive mind. We could do trade, we could do exchange. We could specialize on one thing. Not everybody needs to hunt food. There are some people hunting food, some people fishing for food, some people building huts, some people healing people. So division of labor is what has created this humankind into a wealthy place. And people using artificial intelligence, speeding up the process of execution of everything, will definitely lead to a place where there is a massive abundance. But I also feel that there is a risk that AI becomes extremely regulated and centralized. That small people are not able to use AI models, while all the AI models and basically iRobot kind of scenario. There is a central big organization with a very close government nexus, which is closely related to violence. That government gets its power through violence, legal violence. Now this corporation is deeply connected with this government, and they give you robots. The robots will cook, clean, do construction work, drive your cars. I mean, self-driving cars are obviously robots driving cars, except it's not a humanoid robot like iRobot, which is driving car. Uh, when when this becomes extremely centralized and this abundance becomes so much, now this company creating so much cash flow and wealth, where are they going to store it? They have to go and store it in Bitcoin only, right? And let's say these companies, founders, VPs, the investors become extremely rich. What are they going to do with all that? They are again going to sell it back into the market, right? So Bitcoin can also create like a balancing force for the centralizing force that is AI. That because now you are operating on a Bitcoin standard, the centralizing force that AI is in the fiat system will become eventually a decentralized force. You might have some, let's say, early investors move out and start their own AI companies. And there are some people like, like breaking away that whole centralization can be enabled only by Bitcoin. We are totally cooked, totally fried, destroyed as humans. If you are having AI and AGI in a world without Bitcoin, both AI and Bitcoin are kind of checks and balancing each other, right? That's the way I look at it. But I think we have to see this. evolution with too many variables involved. It's like imagine trying to look at a reptile and then trying to predict that, okay, after 2 million years, what will this reptile evolve into? We can backtrack it.
Yeah.
Connecting the dots back, it will look obvious. Connecting the dots forward is very, very difficult, right? So we can do all these predictions on how it will actually play out. I'm planning to write a book on almost 7 different scenarios on how hyper Bitcoinization can exactly play out. With totally fictional kind of writing, right? Just my imagination. A bhi ho sakta hai, wo bhi, I think all intuition based. No science, no logic. People might read it and feel like I'm a stupid also, but that's just to scratch their intellectual curiosity. So let's see how it evolves. Exciting times ahead.
Yeah, makes sense. For me, I I have also many thoughts on this topic. The way I see it, Bitcoin is going to be an enabler for AI, because you spoke about how we have advanced sort of as a society because we were able to print this money and sort of take risk, right? I see Bitcoin as this tool which will enable sort of next this AI revolution, right? Whatever you want to call it. When the price rises, irrespective of hyper Bitcoinization or just normal Bitcoinization, uh, entities can like peg around that and print money to take more risk. Like today, we are dependent on the Google data centers, right? For us to innovate on AI, but that's Google is again too centralized. I see a future where with Bitcoin rising, a lot more new companies coming into play, and we move faster towards AGI. Anyways, we sort of went on it.
That could be another one interesting point that I think about when we think about fiat versus Bitcoin, is that fiat is also an enabler for Bitcoin, ironically, and Bitcoiners might feel like very offended by that statement, but when you, let's say, start working at 20, work very hard until you are 30, and then you have made good money, you have saved, invested, maybe for the next 20 years you can just focus on your health and fitness also. Little bit of that you have to do. You can't be like, from 20 I will just focus on my health and fitness and not even make enough money to have like a decent living, right? So you have to go in that path and then turn back and come in this path. Similarly, if fiat did not exist, if government did not exist, if military did not exist, military cannot exist without government, government cannot exist without fiat, but military created internet in the first place. And without internet, we can't have Bitcoin. So we went in that fiat route, and that enabled Bitcoin, right? Without that centralization, this decentralization won't be possible. If there was no taxation by the government and all that taxes invested into egoistic politicians' desires to conquer other land, we would not have had that coordination to create internet in the first place. Now that we have internet, now that we have satellites, GPS satellites, communication and everything, like, okay, too much, we have gone this far. Just like a 40-year-old IT employee realizes that if I keep doing these meetings, travel, no workout, no healthy food, then I will die sooner, and suddenly turns around and says that, okay, I'm quitting, I have enough money, now I will focus on my health, I will grow a vegetable garden, and then start going in this route. The whole world went in that fiat route, took a U-turn. Now you're like, bro, enough. This is not going to end well. Everybody is going to die. Come in the Bitcoin route. So sometimes Bitcoiners act as if Bitcoiners would have existed without fiat. Fiat enabled Bitcoin, right?
Of course, Bitcoin is the riposte for fiat.
Fiat is the finger that pointed towards the moon. Don't get stuck on the finger. Look at the moon, right? Yeah.
So Deepak, we have had a great conversation so far. I'm sure a lot of people watching this podcast would have understood the concept of Bitcoin, how it saves energy and stuff like that. Now, for these curious people that want to learn more about Bitcoin, what would be your suggestion? How should they go about it?
A lot of people are not able to invest in Bitcoin and move more of their net worth into Bitcoin because they don't have the time to study Bitcoin. The fiat system had made them so busy. Mom, dad, both working, kids are busy. Now you have to do projects for the kids. They are just having like this full busy lives, and they don't have time to look into Bitcoin. So first thing that I would tell them, I mean, watching this podcast is a good start. If somebody is watching this, they are spending some time and energy into studying Bitcoin. So what I would recommend them doing it is that go just study more.
Yeah.
You have heard of this term called Bitcoin self-custody.
Yeah.
Just go to YouTube, search for how do you self-custody Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Go to ChatGPT, ask for what is self-custody. Let's say you buy gold. You have some 5 lakhs. You go buy 50 grams of gold. Earlier I used to say you go buy 100 grams of gold, but now the price has doubled. Now you got 50 grams of gold. It's a bearer asset. You hold it in your hand. There is no name attached to that gold, that this gold belongs to so and so, just like other assets that you have in the system. Now when you think about you hiding your gold somewhere deep inside, dig a 100 feet deep hole and hide it into the Himalayas, nobody can find it for hundreds of years. That's what Bitcoin self-custody is. You can think of it as a suitcase with a 3-digit number lock. It is mathematically represented as 10 power 3 because it goes from 000 to 999. If you want to break open the suitcase by unlocking the lock without breaking the suitcase, you want to like open the suitcase, you have to try combinations from 000 to 999. At one point you will unlock it. Now this complexity of password is 10 power 3 only, 1000. Bitcoin's encryption as a digital locker is 2 power 256, which is more than the number of atoms in the universe. Just have to trust the mathematics is that nobody is going to randomly stumble upon your wallet. If you are so paranoid, create a multi-signature wallet, you are sorted. You have increased the complexity even more. Now, self-custody is basically an encrypted wallet with a 256-bit key. You have a 256-bit key, keep it with you, don't reveal it. It creates a public key. On that public key, you can receive Bitcoin. This is one angle of approach to study. Somehow gets your hands on $5 or $10 worth of Bitcoin. Try to put it there. I will not name any exchanges, but figure out an exchange which can legally allow you to self-custody. As of now, whatever we spoke on this podcast, as of today, is legal. Future may it can become illegal. Maybe Bitcoin itself is declared as illegal. A lot of people are like, oh, what if the government declares it as illegal in the future? I don't want to buy Bitcoin right now. Maybe you need to think, why would somebody declare something illegal if it helps you, if it increases in value? Maybe you have to think they don't have your best interest in mind. Then do what is right for you. So I will leave them with that thought. But as of today, there are exchanges which people can find out just with a little bit of Googling and research. There are exchanges which will allow you to withdraw the Bitcoin from the exchange to your wallet, and your wallet is created through 256-bit encryption. Now, obviously, it's like learning swimming. You cannot learn swimming by watching a podcast about it. You have to go and practice. And this needs time. So the first requirement is that can you slow down a little bit? Maybe say no to that promotion. Maybe say no to that extra side hustle that you are doing while you are doing a job. Maybe say no to another business if you are already a businessman. Right? Slow down. Because I can tell it with 100% confidence that rather than investing your time in doing an extra side hustle, investing in time in starting a new business, investing time in doing some earning activity, and leaving it to your wealth manager to put that money into whatever your instruments are, sahi hai, nahi hai, or whatever it is. The time that you invest in learning Bitcoin will give you a better ROI than all the things that you are doing. I know a friend who has 20 different businesses. He has invested in all the different businesses. He has this one, that. I mean, like, why? You are playing this fiat game, no? Now it's sucking away so much time. There is a meeting here. There. People take glory in having a busy day. Morning, say, evening, tak, I am like working and everything. Like, they are not intelligent, right? They are thinking that they are intelligent, and that prevents them from looking at the reality where life is not supposed to be hurried. If on a Monday evening you call me for a podcast and I have half a day free to come and talk about Bitcoin, this is what Bitcoin enables, right? So people have to slow down. Because imagine, 2016 I was like this, digital marketing manager, I will run campaigns and I'm going to digital marketing events and everything. If I had studied Bitcoin, I could have bought some 50 Bitcoins when Bitcoin was $500, right? Now imagine, today it looks like an impossible goal for me, right? All the other things that I did, chalo, conference karo, meeting karo, like do this, do that, all the productive things that people think they do. they are still not going to beat the returns of Bitcoin. So, so the more time you, obviously if you are 20, you have nothing. Right now, you cannot spend that much time in Bitcoin studying because you have nothing to invest in Bitcoin. You have to first create energy to store the energy, right? But if you are already creating energy, surplus energy, obviously, if you are earning 2 lakhs a month, spending 2.5 lakh a month already in debt, sorry, I don't have any hope for you. First of all, those guys are not even watching this podcast. But if you have surplus energy, you are making 1 lakh, let's say you are spending only 70,000, you are having excess of 30,000 a month. The more time you spend on Bitcoin, the more of that 30,000 extra you will allocate to Bitcoin. And the more time you spend on Bitcoin, the more of your existing previous savings you will allocate to Bitcoin. And that time spent will give you a better ROI than spending time in trying to make more money, because you will still be an idiot. You'll make more money, but you won't store it properly and it will leak. Right? So I would recommend people to maybe read my book, Spiritual Money, read Bitcoin Standard, read Broken Money by Lynn Alden. A lot of good books are there about Bitcoin. One by Price of Tomorrow by Jeff Booth. Jeff Booth is my favorite guy in terms of linking Bitcoin to spirituality, right? And to read a book is a very rare skill today, right? Intellectual laziness. Stop being intellectually lazy. That's what I would tell people. Like, get down that path. Just because I told you so, put some 10,000 in Bitcoin and forget about it for 3 years. If you are so busy and don't even have time, at least do that. No. What's the worst case that could happen? 10,000 will go to zero. So what? According to you, not according to us. So once people get into that, they will get into that rabbit hole. Then they will be on their own. You just need to go to that escape velocity.
A lot of people that I meet have this question of self-custody versus central exchange. Do you think we should answer that question, or do you think people, when they learn about Bitcoin, will figure out what to do?
I mean, level 1 is obviously to open an exchange account, put some 5,000 and let it sit there. Then level 2 is that put it on a hot wallet. Then level 3 is that put it on a cold wallet. Then level 4 is that put it on a multi-sig wallet. Then distribute that signatures across geographical locations. Then if you have so much net worth in Bitcoin, distribute across different jurisdictions.
Sure.
Then level 5 is that you create a mining machine. Then level 6, level 7, you become a toxic maximalist. You write a book about Bitcoin. You do podcast about Bitcoin. I think everybody has to become a mini influencer among their family circle, convincing other people that stop investing anywhere else. Like, it might not be relevant for people who are 60 plus years right now, because they might not feel like, even if it has a future, how does it matter to me? Because for me, my investments has worked. I've built a family. Now kids are there, grandkids are there, let them take care. Very, very difficult to orange pill. I have felt that anybody in 60 plus, almost impossible to orange pill is what I am feeling right now. It's best for people who are middle class. Rich people, the people who are earning money through unethical means, the parasites, don't have a problem of my energy is leaking, because it's not even your energy in the first place. So what, it leaks? It's free money for you. And very rich people, they have offshore accounts. They have maybe so much money. It's like just tagged as, they don't even worry that inflation is eroding my savings, right? We have people in India who are like Pablo Escobar rich, right? They have cash stacked there somewhere. They're not even worried that the cash is losing value. Their worry is that I should not get caught with this cash. So it's not for rich people. Very good real estate still appreciates well, as long as rich people are still looking at real estate. Very poor people, or rather than saying poor people, I would not demean them by saying that. Let's say productive people who are working hard, but unfortunate to be in a life position where they are just living hand to mouth. And every man has this need to have a wife, to have kids, and to provide for a family. Every man deserves that, right? So when they do not have any inheritance or have surplus energy produced and invested into assets, and they live paycheck. I know people who earn a lot. They earn, like husband and wife together earn 5 lakhs a month, and they spend 5 lakhs a month. And they sit on zero savings except one house, for which EMI is also part of their monthly expenditure. Kids, dogs, charity drives, everything, international vacations, right? Now you are also poor only, because you are not creating any surplus energy, you are not investing anywhere else. Now the people who are like poor in that sense, who are living paycheck to paycheck, no matter how much you earn, how much you spend, you don't have any energy surplus, there's no point. So Bitcoin is not for those people also, because they don't have the surplus energy to put that energy into Bitcoin in the first place. It's for the people who can be happy with maybe, bro, I worked 5 years very hard and I was absolutely frugal for the 5 years. Let's say 20 to 25. The math is, let's say 20 to 25, if you have worked very hard, stayed very frugal, saved money, and held one Bitcoin, you are probably the one who is going to enjoy it the most, because you have saved that energy into, let's say, one Bitcoin. That one Bitcoin is going to make you insanely wealthy if you can just not spend that for another 5 years, and then maybe slowly start liquidating, like, okay, 2031, to fund an entire year of extravaganza, including international vacations, buy whatever you want, maybe you liquidate just 0.1 Bitcoin. Then 2032, you won't liquidate 0.1 Bitcoin. You will liquidate 0.05 Bitcoin. Your wealth will grow faster than you can spend it, as long as you are not spending it on stupid stuff like egoistic stuff, right? You got into here because you dropped your ego. Then don't use Bitcoin to build it, which is what a lot of people are doing right now in Dubai. People who have 100 Bitcoins, 500 Bitcoins, they are driving around Lamborghinis and everything, and they are intolerable, right? It has come into their ego. And those people will spend it off, and eventually they will spend off all their Bitcoin. Their children will spend off all their Bitcoin. It will come back to the people only, right? So it's fine that inefficiency exists right now, but it's for the middle class. It's for the people who can just about have this frustration that I'm creating surplus energy, but I don't have a reliable system to store that energy.
Yeah.
They are the ones who should take Bitcoin the most seriously.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. And I think you have also given good guidance on how people should think about learning more about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I have one final question, right, as we wind up this conversation. So, Bitcoin is, you spoke about it as, a saver of energy, how it allows you to pursue creativity and freedom, right? I would want to hear from you how Bitcoin has changed your life. I know you as an avid biker that bikes sometime in Kerala, sometime in Himachal, sometimes in even Japan, right?
Yeah.
So I would want to hear that story from you, because that could also inspire people about pursuing Bitcoin, because they can also, enjoy this sort of freedom and creativity in future if they learn.
Yeah. More than Bitcoin enabling you financially to kind of slow down, not be always working, and have the wealth to pursue your passion, more than that enablement, I believe that Bitcoin gives you this change of mindset, that you don't need to chase validation, ego, status, success anymore for making sure that you survive, right? So I have friends, let's say almost all the wealthy friends that I know of, they have a house, they have one or two cars. One of the car is at least a German car. They're always busy. They're always attending meetings. They're doing their next project. They're buying their next house. Around 38, 40 years of age, this is what all of these people are doing. Death will come at any time. You don't know when you are going to die. You don't know whether you will have the energy to enjoy life the way you want. And some people have not even figured out what is it that they enjoy. That even if you give them 100x the wealth that they have right now and tell them stop working, it becomes like an emptiness for them which they cannot handle, right? So the way it changed my mind was that my dream was, okay, build $1 billion company. But why was that dream existing in the first place? I will become famous, not because of what the $1 billion can buy. If I became famous, then it kind of maybe fulfills a deep insecurity that you have, that you are nothing. So you try to accumulate more and more things, more and more things. And this whole journey of people just chasing and making more money and building more things and everything is completely built on the premise that you don't look back and look into yourself, because once you look into yourself, you'll still be hollow, right? So it keeps you busy from not looking into yourself. So I did Vipassana for 10 days meditation. I went into this whole spirituality route to understand spirituality. People say, what is even spirituality? Right? So you are born without an identity, and everything is accumulated on top of it. At some point, you have to start shedding it off. People who keep accumulating name, fame, family, children is also one form of ego extension. That it's all a way to cheat death. You are afraid that you will die. You think that if you die, you will not exist. Just like imagine a dewdrop falling into ocean, it becomes part of the ocean. That is not the death of the dewdrop. That's a conversion of a dewdrop into the ocean. I honestly am at least aware to that state that if I die, it's not like I will stop existing. If I die, I become part of everything, right? The whole claims the part again. Now, I don't know whether this is Sadhguru or Osho level of spiritual awareness, or whether it's my own small understanding of how I look at life. But once I started looking at life like that, I started stripping away my identity, my name, my fame. I don't want to be like known as somebody. Why? Because if you keep accumulating, the Grim Reaper is coming for everybody. It will be ripped off at the most inconvenient time, at the most unexpected time, because even if you are dying at 85, it's not like you are expecting that, oh, 85 I will die. So by that time I am 85, I will be more accepting of death. Death will always come at the most unexpected time, and you will be shocked. And you will have resentment. Now I don't want to have that resentment. And I don't want to prove myself to anyone. I don't want to prove that, hey, I am successful, right? So once you drop that, then I suddenly realized that minimum level of basic necessities के लिए जो पैसा है, how much ever money you have, that's more than enough. If you are rich enough to order ice cream in 11 o'clock at Swiggy, you have made it. That much of wealth is enough. Now the real wealth is time. What do you do with your time? Write books, read books, talk stupid stuff like this on a podcast, right? Take my bike and go on a ride with a bunch of friends. If you see in biking groups, there is no ego. Whether some guy has a 30 lakh bike and whether some guy has a 2 lakh bike, we are all brothers. You fall, I help. Either way. You go in car groups, everybody is flexing their muscle. BMW 5 Series hai mere paas. I won't talk to you. You have a small car. That is like, so prevalent among people. And they are like less evolved, less intelligent, more animalistic attitude, right? So without Bitcoin, my spiritual journey cannot have happened. Because you feel like your energy is stored and it's safe. You can take 10 days off and do meditation. Who can afford 10 days off in this day and age? Their career will take a backseat. So that way I feel it kind of fed on itself. Spirituality fed on my Bitcoin and Bitcoin fed on my spirituality. And it became very strong. So now I have thought long term enough in my life that now I can afford to think short term. My long term thinking is until the next month ride. Right? I don't know which of my bike rides I will not come back alive. Every biker knows that one of the rides you are going to die on your bike. Because we ride so much. We ride 2,000, 3,000 kilometers every month. We go to Ghat sections, we go on highways. And we know that and most of the people don't ride bikes because they are afraid of death. Bitcoin enabled me not to be afraid of death. Make the most of the time that I am alive. I am here for a few days. So now that I have thought long term enough to invest in Bitcoin and wait for 5 years, now I can afford to be in a position where my long term thinking is just 1 month. I don't even worry about something that is going to happen 3 months later because I am thinking, next month right to hai, what if I don't come back alive? Then no problem, no. We'll come back alive and then worry about it. So this impact, I think only Bitcoin can create in people. And even Bitcoiners probably do not embrace Bitcoin to such level of passion such as me. That it actually impacts their day-to-day living and day-to-day life experience, right? So that is my personal experience of Bitcoin and how it has enabled to follow my passion. I just like riding a bike, going to different places, meeting different people. I'm doing a Japan ride, which is a 15-day trip, 1,500 kilometers across rural Japan back into the city. So start from Tokyo, ends back at Tokyo. And a lot of people like my father-in-law were like, oh, you are going to Japan. Oh, what conference is this? What are you going to do there? No, uncle, what are you talking about? Conference and everything. I'm done with all of that.
Yeah.
I'm not traveling for work purpose anymore.
Yeah.
In immigration, they ask no work,
Yeah.
work or leisure. Only leisure I will travel. So, and I will come back to my home. I don't want to live anywhere else, work anywhere else, all that. So yeah, so cheers to Bitcoin for enabling this lifestyle for me. And it's not like I've invested so early and I'm so rich or anything. Whatever Bitcoin you have, whether you have zero point 0.1 Bitcoin, 0.5 Bitcoin, or one full Bitcoin, it's just the mindset. I've decided to live a very simple, frugal life and put my money where it matters. I want to buy a BMW car, but I chose to let go of that dream in the favor of buying a BMW bike and spending money on very costly gear like helmet, jacket, and whatever. Society wants you to dress with blazer, bow tie, and have like a clean combed hair. What I want to dress is wear a helmet, wear a jacket, and go on a bike, right? That's how I want to dress. Now I don't have any dress collection apart from my riding gear. So could not have been possible without Bitcoin. So immense gratitude to Satoshi Nakamoto and to the entire Bitcoin community. We are Bitcoin. You are Bitcoin. I am Bitcoin. The community is Bitcoin. A lot of people ask, no, what is Bitcoin? Is it a technology? Is it a coin? Is it a decentralized protocol? What is Bitcoin? Everybody has a different answer. My answer is we are Bitcoin.
Right.
Bitcoin exists because we put energy into it. We talk about it.
Yeah.
We run a node. We run a mining machine.
Yeah.
We write a book. We tell people about it.
Yeah.
So we are Bitcoin. So yeah, that's my final thoughts about Bitcoin.
Thank you, Deepak.
Yes.
This was a eye-opening conversation. For me, I'm passionate about Bitcoin, but not to the extent that you are. But after having this conversation, I probably want to go deeper into it so that I can also have this life
Yes.
where you are not worried about like
Yes.
really long term, right? You invest in Bitcoin and you enjoy your life, right? Yeah.
And people who are invested in Bitcoin, if you are investing a small percent, you don't have that much conviction, it's fine. But if you have invested a large percentage of your net worth in Bitcoin, and if you worry that Bitcoin will go down, then you are not a Bitcoiner. Invest in Bitcoin, put a large percentage of your net worth in Bitcoin, and have an absolute conviction that Bitcoin is going to the moon. And if that conviction level is any less, then go do what I am doing. Go write a book, do a podcast, go talk about Bitcoin in every conversation you can, and be a toxic maximalist. Then the Bitcoin is here today because of the toxic maximalist. If you don't have conviction and you worry that Bitcoin price might fall, become a toxic maximalist, and in spite of becoming a toxic maximalist, if Bitcoin goes to zero, we will all come to the streets together. You will meet me at the streets. We will somehow survive. It's fine. So be all or nothing. No. What is this middle ground? Either be a Bitcoiner or don't be a Bitcoiner. Either be a fiat-minded guy or be a toxic maximalist. There is no in between for me.
Got it. Thank you,
Yes,
Deepak.
yes.
It was amazing talking.
Amazing. Thanks for watching.